Welcome to Rookie Mistakes. I'm Ethan.
I'm Jeremy.
And today's the Super Bowl episode.
Yes.
The day after the Super Bowl. I didn't have enough time to do research, but you are...
I came prepared. I spent
prepared.
the whole game taking notes. I was very excited for this episode. We actually put it up to a poll about what people wanted to hear about today, this week. Did they want to hear about the Super Bowl recap, or did they want to hear about basketball? Overwhelming win for Super Bowl recap. So,
and were you also engaged with, like, socially the friends in the room, or you were just taking notes on the side?
I was trying to be engaged. I hope I didn't seem too off to the side. I did. Someone at some point during the game said that I looked like I was a coach. Every time something
you had like your clipboard
on screen, I literally had like a piece of paper. I'm like writing things down.
That's funny.
But no, I thought it was engaged enough. I actually put together a list of prop bets for everyone in the room to bet on. And then I made an individual prop bet for everyone in the room, but they couldn't see what theirs was. So we all made bets on everyone else in the room, but they didn't know what we bet on for them.
Oh, wait, I still don't get it.
So, for example, my friend Adina, she just screams outrageous things at the TV that make no sense. So her prop bet was over under 3.5.
Oh, wow. But she was the only one that didn't know. It was like
She
Super Bowl bingo
know.
a little bit where
Exactly.
you like, that's very funny.
But she did not know what her prop was. And then
That's
we revealed them at the end, which was very fun.
That's funny. Well, my girlfriend Sarah, for the first time in her life, placed some bets because she got the DraftKings like 8 free bets, 25 apiece.
Oh.
So she placed 8 bets, and she said that she was a pill the entire time because her friends were just trying to enjoy the game, and she just like consistently talked about whether her bets were going to hit or not.
So they weren't into it.
Yeah, they weren't into it. So I'm glad that you didn't have the same experience with you having a clipboard in hand trying to take notes the whole time. Okay, good. That's good.
I wasn't bothering people.
That's
least.
good.
No.
Yeah, she was excessively bothering people, so that's a little bit different.
That's a tough look, Sarah.
Yeah.
Did she win any of her bets?
She actually did win some bets.
Okay.
So she won. This is actually an interesting bet. She was in the Swiftie category, and one of them was 22 points in a quarter.
Yes.
And that hit. And the reason that hit, which I wanted to ask you about, was because there were 22 points in the fourth quarter and in overtime.
Really?
And DraftKings counts those as one quarter.
Wow. I did not know that. When you were leading into that, I was like, oh, that didn't hit. I know it didn't hit.
It did hit.
Wow.
Which honestly seems like that shouldn't happen.
That's totally a miss on their part. Like, they have in the fine print of all these bets, like, ways that they can get out of paying you. This feels like one where they did the reverse.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
so that was
crazy.
one that hit. That was she bet 25 to win 100.
Okay.
So that hit. Another big one that hit was KC scores first, but Chiefs win the game.
49ers score first, but
yes,
City wins
yes,
the game.
yes. And that hit. She told me to bet for her, so I was just literally pressing every button. I pressed a button that said that Mahomes was going to throw for over 505 yards.
What?
Which didn't hit, obviously, but it was 25 to win 2,500. Obviously, we go big or go home type thing, but that one missed by a long shot.
Did you realize that you were hitting 505 yards?
I realized the extent of the bet, but I also didn't know she had 8 bets to throw,
right?
And time was ticking, so I was just like, "All right, we're doing this."
Place on whatever.
We placed a couple that were easier to hit, a couple that were harder.
Okay,
winner, chicken dinner. We got to get that money.
All right, you got a few. That's good.
Yeah. I bet. I actually was very happy with some of my bets. I bet the under on 47.5, which was the line, and it was 47.
Got very close. Yep.
I actually didn't know. I mean, I understood after, but I thought that once the Chiefs were driving down the field in overtime, it was over. Because if they scored a touchdown, it would be 7 additional points, but they don't kick the extra point.
Right.
So it was just under 47.5.
Yeah, but you thought they were going to end up kicking an extra point.
Yeah, and I was like,
cover
shit.
it.
Yeah. But that was good, and then I missed pretty much every other bet.
Okay. Well, I did not bet this year. I put one singular bet on the game. It was on tails because I wanted everyone in the room to bet on the same thing. And our friend Ezra decided that it was going to be tails for everyone, and it was not.
And it
tails.
was, and well,
it was tails in overtime. It was heads in regulation.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
This is the only bet I placed in the whole game, so thanks for that, Ezra.
And then, do you think you could have bet on the second coin flip? No way. Like the overtime coin flip?
Well, I don't know because I didn't check, but I did think about it in the moment because you can oftentimes bet Like for tennis, for example, you can bet what happens on the next point.
Yeah.
But for football, it's usually what happens on the drive.
I
So
see.
I don't know if the sports books would have been able to get it up quickly enough, but if they did, everyone would have bet on it if it was available. So.
Also, baseball, can't you bet on the next pitch?
Yeah,
it's
you can.
It's so quick.
Yeah, it's so quick. Where were you for the Super Bowl?
I was at David Burger's.
Right.
Great. Aviva is a great chef.
Nice.
She's unbelievable. A couple big ticket items that she made. She had like, I don't know if she would call it this, but potato chip chicken, which is like the breaded chicken with like, Rice Krispies potato chip type thing on a deli sandwich with a beautiful garlic aioli.
Amazing.
And lettuce tomato.
Wow.
She had good mandel bread. Very good always. She made football cupcakes. Great. A lot of dips, a lot of chips. All the good things.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's a good squad?
Great squad. Great squad.
Good.
What about you?
Watched it, our friends Tony and Gracie.
That's
8
good,
of us,
Tony.
very chill. It was nice. We tried not to be too loud because the baby was sleeping, but no, we had a great time.
Cute baby, by the way.
Yeah, Mia's very cute.
Yeah, I see her all over Facebook. She's killing it.
Yeah.
But that's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
All right, so you also have to tell me about Waste Management this past weekend.
Yeah.
Squad of 8 of you in neon orange shirts.
Oh, 18 of us.
18,
dude.
okay.
18.
I was off by a tens.
Waste Management is insane. It is as advertised. I got it totally wrong last week when I said we would be leaving at 5. We woke up at 3:30 in the morning. We left the Airbnb at 4 a.m. We got to the grounds at 4:30, and basically from 4:30 until 8:30 when they let us get to our seats, we were.
And are there
drinking.
like stadium? It's not indoors.
Okay, so here's what happened.
Like, are there stadium seats?
Yes, but we weren't even allowed to go there for the first 4.5 hours. We get to the parking lot, and essentially there's a security line, and you wait in a big clump of people, thousands of people behind the security line. At around 5:15 a.m., they let us through security, and the second you get through the metal detector and you get the thumbs up, you sprint.
Wow.
To the next line where there's another group of people who are all running with you.
Oh my God. It's like running with the Bulls.
It was insane. It was actual mayhem. And they don't take your alcohol away. Like, I had alcohol stuffed in my pockets.
You're like,
My
your
mom is
pants
gonna
are like
hate
sagging.
this.
You're like carrying them with one hand.
I'm not joking. I was carrying for the whole squad. I had my
funny,
pockets filled. I'm sprinting. We're all running together to get to the next line where we then waited 3 hours because there was a frost delay. So we were just out there in the freezing cold. And then eventually at 8:30, they let us off of that line. And then there's a run that's 0.73 miles. I know it's very specific, but it's not like a 2-minute sprint.
Yeah.
This is you got to pace yourself.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
And we're all wearing bright peach polos.
so funny.
So we had a whole game plan. We were
People train for this, like the .73.
Oh, yeah,
Dude, that's a classic.
and
It's a big run.
the big .73. And you could tell who wasn't ready because we knew to stay steady, pace ourselves, and we had a system. If you see orange up ahead, make sure you have eye contact with the nearest orange shirt.
Yeah.
So we all knew where to go.
And
to
is there any
follow each other.
blocking of other members? Are you setting picks at all? No,
No,
you're being cordial.
People were pretty respectful. We were passing a lot of people, and some people were passing us too, but we paced ourselves well. And as you'd pass someone, they'd kind of cheer you on.
Nice.
Hey, we're not going to make it there at the same time as you.
Good stuff. So honestly, do you think you were faster than average?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We got there. We got the third row.
Wow.
We were there
okay.
third row, right behind the hole, prime time seating.
That's sick.
It was unbelievable.
This was for the 16th hole.
For the 16th hole.
Nice.
Where, it was awesome. I would never do it again,
Really?
but I wouldn't do it any differently this time. It was so fun.
But the first day, you must not have known all the rules of the game. You didn't. So, but then the second day, you were ready to rumble.
Exactly.
3:30 a.m.
3:30 a.m.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah. Early wake up
And then
time.
what time are you going to bed?
Well, the night before, we went to bed at 11.
And you woke up at 3.
Woke up at
3:30.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I woke up at 3:30, and do you know what a transfusion is? It's a grape
I know
juice.
what a blood transfusion is. But
it's an alcoholic drink.
okay, word.
Woke up at 3:30, rolled out of bed. I'm rubbing my eyes, and I get this mixed drink thrown at me. And
what is it?
It's just grape juice and vodka and
Nice.
whatever else.
And is that what you're also packing your pockets with?
No.
Like Mott's and tequila or no?
No, we had the fireball nips.
Oh, nice.
And
The shooters.
Yes,
Yeah.
the shooters just stuffed in all the
Nice.
pockets.
Those are good because those can fit in small places.
Yes,
Yeah.
it worked pretty well.
Nice.
But 3:30, just like waking up with this mixed drink right
That's
to the
so
face.
crazy. That's like game day at Michigan.
Yeah.
Honestly, brings you back a little bit.
Yeah, it was a time.
Nice.
I didn't get to experience the full game day after my 1 year, so
That's true. That's true.
Glad I had it this past weekend.
That is crazy, though.
Waste management was wild.
And I talked to Aaron Goldmeyer last night. He said there were no holes in one on the 16th hole.
No.
16th hole.
And basically, if you do anything worse than a birdie, you get booed. We'll get to what a birdie is for those of you who don't know how golf works later on. But
yeah,
that's
very
unless
funny.
you make a hole in one or an insane birdie putt, like you're getting booed.
Are the players actually engaging with the audience?
Yes, they are. But apparently on Saturday, it got way too out of control. There were 2 streakers.
Wow.
On the 16th hole. One of them, they interviewed him afterwards. He dove into the bunker. The bunker, for those of you who don't know, is a sand trap next to the green. He dove in, and afterwards he said he thought it was water.
Oh my God.
So he hit the sand hard.
Wow.
I think he had like a pretty serious neck injury.
Yeah.
But it got way too out of hand. The ground.
He was doing a little cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
You know what that is? We like roll around in the sand, like hop in the water and then roll around.
And then roll around. So yeah, they had to like shut down concessions on Saturday. They're probably going to reevaluate, but on Saturday, a lot of the players were complaining. They're like, "All right, this is a little out of hand. Like
That's
this
crazy."
This
but this
isn't how
can't
it
be
should
the first time that they've had such an audience.
No, but I think
mean, this
they got
is waste
into
management,
trouble
baby.
this year because they didn't check everyone's tickets.
Oh wow!
Like we got to our seats and we're like, "Wait, did they not check our tickets?"
I
And then
assume there are QR codes.
like you scan.
Yeah,
on
okay.
Thursday we went in and they scanned our tickets, and then on Friday we just assumed, oh, if we're crazy enough to be here at 4 a.m., they're not going to scan our tickets. We obviously bought tickets.
Yeah, it's a little weird though.
But there were thousands of other people whose tickets they didn't check.
Yeah,
and then the grounds were just over flooded. So I think they're going to fix it for next year, but it was amazing while we were there.
It sounds so sick. I saw a picture of you guys like in the stands and this like neon blob of people.
Yeah, we were hard
I was
to
like,
miss.
that is so ridiculous.
People started calling us the Peaches, so we
Nice.
would start chants for ourselves.
So did you like get to know other audience members? I mean, you go to a 4-day concert and like there's someone you see over and over again, a little Groundhog Day action. Like, are you befriending other audience members?
Oh yeah. I mean, you're in line with people at 4:30 in the morning,
like multiple nights in a row.
Yeah, you're just drinking beer
That's
with
really
all
funny.
these strangers, and you're like, hey, we should probably
And
talk if we're gonna.
yeah,
be
people
stuck
our
here next
age
to each
or-
other. Yeah, mostly people our age.
Nice.
A lot of guys.
A lot of
I would
guys.
say 95% guys.
Really?
Maybe 98%.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I think
the
women
sausage
are smarter
fest, as they
than-
call it.
Yes, women are too smart to wake up that early.
Yeah.
Just to drink and
Yep.
then watch golf.
Well, speaking of streakers,
Yes.
there was a streaker at the Super Bowl.
There was.
But what happened? Because can I just say we called this because we are like, what if someone like sort of semi streaks? Like, does the bet hit?
So you called this so accurately that there was speculation at our Super Bowl gathering that you were the streaker.
Oh,
That you had somehow gotten to the game and placed a lot of money on
a
the
lot of
streaker
money.
and ran on the field. So are you here to confirm that was not the case?
I can certainly confirm that was not the case.
Okay.
Although I would like to know if whomever actually bet that there was a streaker, whether they got paid out.
There was a TikTok story I just saw. It has a lot of views, a lot of likes, that some guy basically said, that was me. I saw that you could place a bet for it, so I put 20 grand on it, paid $10,000 for a ticket so I could take destiny into my own hands. That's what he
Wow.
said. And then a lot of people in the comments were like, oh, there's no proof it was this guy, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But in theory, he did do it, and then someone confirmed that someone tried to do it 2 years ago.
Wow.
And because they were the streaker, they did not get paid out. So.
Let's hope the ad revenue offsets all the price of the ticket, right? And if they hit the ticket. But like even if they didn't hit the ticket, they have a TikTok that has 3 million views. Maybe they're raking it in anyway.
That's true. Maybe they're building a brand.
Yeah, they're building a brand. A brand of streakers.
Yeah. Should we dive into all things Super Bowl?
All
Give
things
the people
Super
what they
Bowl.
want?
Yeah. So a couple interesting things I heard just right off the bat.
Yeah.
This is a shout out to Sheva. She was at a Super Bowl party where her friends were wondering how the shorts of the players don't roll up because when you wear Spanx, they roll up so much. And I didn't know the answer to that question. They like pad them up. I don't know.
So it's padded, but They're also not spandex in the same way where, like, if you didn't have the pads in, it would just roll up. A lot of them have, like, cuffs around the knee.
Okay.
And it either goes right below the knee or right above the knee, but it pinches pretty well, and there are pads stuffed into it, so it's not going anywhere.
So they actually have, like, rubber band type things that keep it in place.
Exactly.
Great. That's a great question, Sheba, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. Another quick one that someone asked, is there a halftime show at every football game?
No.
There is not.
There is not.
There is not a halftime show at every football game. Any good shtick at your Super Bowl or no?
Yeah, I mean, there's some good shtick, mostly revolved around the individual prop bets.
Nice.
I've got some fun facts about the actual game. For those of you who need a reminder, it was Chiefs 25, 49ers 22. The Chiefs won in overtime. The Chiefs are the first team to win back-to-back championships since the 2003-2004 New England Patriots.
Nice.
And next year, they will try to become the first team ever to win 3 straight Super Bowls.
So Mahomes is already going down in history, but, like, this puts him at a tier above all else. He's a god amongst mortals, it seems like. If he hits this.
The only person he's chasing is Tom Brady. Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls. He's the GOAT. Some say he's the greatest professional athlete of all time. He's the guy that Mahomes is chasing, but Mahomes is really the only one who could ever catch him. He has 3 Super Bowls in his 6 years as a starter, 3 Super Bowl MVPs.
And how many does Brady have?
He's 28 years old. Brady has 7 Super Bowls. I'm not sure how many MVPs. I think he has 4, maybe 5.
Right.
Usually the quarterback of the winning team gets it unless there's someone else who is incredible. There's a lot to chase with Tom Brady, but Patrick Mahomes has proven that he is capable of doing it.
Yeah. Okay, so short digression here because I have to ask.
Okay.
And I think I've already brought this up, but Mahomes, he's good. Don't get me wrong. But there were so many chances for the 49ers. So, for example, they even went into overtime and the 49ers missed an extra point, which, like, never happens.
Not in overtime, but toward the end of regulation.
Toward the end of regulation. But if they hit that, then hypothetically, all else equal, they would have won the game. And Mahomes would have gone down as losing this Super Bowl and not doing enough for his team.
In theory, but because he's so good, he knew all he needed to do was get 3 points. If they do that last drive where they tied the game to send it to overtime and they're down by 4 and he knows he needs to get a touchdown, like, he probably would have gotten it. He's that good.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
How often do people miss extra points? And also, I was listening and they said that it was the field goal taker's fault. I mean, the extra point taker's fault.
Yeah, they said it was the kicker's fault. Jake Moody, who had an amazing game.
Michigan alum.
And until maybe a quarter later, he had the record for the longest field goal in Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
Which lasted no time at all. But he had a great game. The reason they say it was his fault is he hit the ball a little too high up. So he didn't get a lot of loft under it, which meant it was a lot easier for the defense to block it, which is what happened.
They got 2 hands on it. 2 people touched that thing.
And you could tell, like, it really didn't get that much loft, so they were blaming it on him a little bit.
I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often, though. Like,
kickers are usually pretty amazing.
Yeah, but, like, they're usually probably not so worried about making the extra point or kicking it so high with loft. Like, Jake Moody probably has kicked it as high as this before.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'd imagine that the Chiefs knew that and said, hey, when they're kicking extra points, try to get your arm up into, like, the kicking lane so that you can block it.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case, but if he's done that more than once, they probably knew that about him.
Interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, this game, for a lot lot kind of stunk. I don't know how you felt, but, like, we were kind of bored for a while.
No, I was certainly bored. I was the actual party that I was at split into 2 sections. It was the dudes who were watching the game, and then it was, like, unfortunately, like, the gals who were gossiping. I don't mean to be split so, like, gender norm-esque, but I was over here in the gossip section because I was, like, down to chill.
Nice.
And also, like, it was fucking boring. Also, quick shout out to Noah Jeremias because Sarah said that during her Super Bowl watch party, she goes, "This is so boring. Does anyone have any gossip to share?" So if that tells you anything about how boring the first 2 hours of the game was, there it is.
Yeah, we were sitting there kind of shocked. Like, it's halftime. Nothing interesting has happened. Yeah. I hope the game doesn't end like this. Turned into a pretty classic game. Getting a touchdown winning drive in overtime is an awesome way to end the Super Bowl.
But so no one knew how overtime rules were.
Yeah.
What was good with that?
So the coin toss in overtime, the 49ers win the coin toss, and they decided to take the ball. That was pretty controversial because the Chiefs automatically get a chance to get the ball no matter what the 49ers do. So in the scenario that happened, the 49ers got the ball first. They kick a field goal. The Chiefs know all we need to do is, at the very least, kick a field goal. If we get a touchdown, we win, which is what ended up happening.
Exactly.
And there were several plays where the Chiefs had the fourth down, I think twice, maybe once, but I think twice in overtime, and they knew they had to go for it. So if you have 4 plays to get a first down,
always.
It makes it, always. You're automatically going for it. You know you have a way better chance. It kind of shifts the odds in your favor. So the explanation that the coach gave, and we were trying to figure this out in real time, like why would they not kick it off to the Chiefs and get it second so that they know what they need to do? The coach explained that, let's say the 49ers kick the field goal and then the Chiefs kick a field goal, then it's sudden death. So the 49ers would get the ball next, and all they need to do is kick a field goal to win. Mm-hmm. So he said, I want to get my team that second possession. But on the flip side, the Chiefs just came downfield and scored a touchdown, and that was it. Even if, let's say the 49ers got the ball first and they went downfield and scored a touchdown and kicked the extra point, they're up 7. If the Chiefs drive downfield and score a touchdown, they could choose to go for 2, like you're saying, because if they kick the extra point, they give the ball back to the 49ers, now it's sudden death. They can just avoid that scenario altogether by going for 2.
And if they're over 50% going for 2,
exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I do think it was the wrong call by the 49ers to accept the ball, because the Chiefs aren't going to let you get the ball back after their possession. So I think that was a pretty controversial decision.
I mean, also it feels like the NFL, like the rules are bad to begin with, because it gives a baked-in advantage to whoever goes second in overtime.
Except that you could argue the other way. Like, I don't know how the analytics actually play this out, but the coach of the 49ers presumably knew the numbers and said, we have a better chance of winning if we get the ball first here, because we can go downfield.
Do you think he actually knew the numbers, though?
I think he did. There's no way you plan for the biggest game of your career and then you don't know the numbers.
But then he shouldn't get flack for it.
So I don't know that he is. I mean, I think his defense...
Everyone's saying he is.
Maybe.
That's all I'm saying.
His defense of it is the only possible explanation. But then really the scenario that you're rooting for is both teams kick a field goal. Because if you get a touchdown, the other team's probably going to go for 2 if they get a touchdown. So I don't know. I'll give him a little flack. I don't think it was the right decision, but he's a great coach. So he probably knew the scenario.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
But yeah, that was controversial. And then the time at the end of overtime was also confusing.
Yep.
I thought for a while that it was just going to be like, oh, when time runs out, that's it. Mm-hmm. And the Chiefs did end up scoring with like 6 seconds left on the clock. So it was a little confusing. People may not have realized that the clock just kept going.
Yeah.
Thankfully, with like a minute left, the announcers said it's just going to go to the next quarter as if it was like a new game.
That's so odd.
So very weird. Yeah.
That's so odd.
Very, very weird.
Because there were some headlines that were saying not even the 49ers knew the overtime rules.
I think people were confused. Well, the guy who caught the winning touchdown didn't even realize that they won.
It was such a anticlimactic ending.
Like all of his teammates are going crazy, and the announcers are celebrating, and he's just like doing a normal touchdown dance. Everyone's like, "Dude, you just won the Super Bowl." Like, he had no clue.
He's gotta do something crazy. Do a backflip.
Yeah.
I do want a quick shout out. The kickers, is that what they call them?
Yeah, the kickers.
The kickers, they had a really good game.
They were
a lot of big kicks.
I think there was a 54-yarder, a 57-yarder by Butker on the Chiefs, which set the record.
Yep.
2 of them now have the 2 longest field goals in Super Bowl history. So pretty impressive.
Awesome. It's pretty awesome. So I also wanted a more strategic question that I actually asked during the party, and then as all the dudes were bickering over what the right answer was, I completely lost track of the conversation. I went back to the other side of the room, started gossiping again. Anyway, so the kickoff that hit the dude's leg, and then the kickoff returner.
Yeah, the punt and then the returner who tried to pick it up. Yeah,
exactly. This is going to be a convoluted question, but it hit the dude's foot, but no one really realized it, it seemed like.
Yes.
The only person that realized it was the returner himself. Yes. So he could have played it off as if it didn't happen, sort of. There are many things he could have done. He could have picked it up. He could have played it off like it didn't happen. Yeah. He could have done an abundance of other things. But what happens if he doesn't do anything? The football continues to go out the end of the end zone, and it touched his team last. Or the football goes out, not the end of the back of the end zone, but in the actual sideline. Yeah.
So in both of those scenarios, the team that was returning it would keep the ball. The scenario that would be really interesting is if it hits his other player's foot. He's the only one who knows, but let's say the other team in this scenario is the 49ers or the Chiefs.
Yep.
The Chiefs were the ones punting. If they were the ones who picked up the ball, even if they didn't realize, someone in their replay booth would have called down to the coach and said, you should challenge that because it touched the 49ers leg. So if it touches the 49ers leg like it did, and the Chiefs pick the ball up, which is what ended up happening, they get the ball.
I
so
see.
even if they hadn't seen the returner go to pick it up and they landed on it, they could have challenged it if the refs didn't make the right call. So what the Chiefs player should have done is he should have just fell on the 49ers player.
Yeah.
He should have just fell on the ball.
But it was moving fast.
It was moving fast, and like he did have the wherewithal to say, "Oh, that hit my guy's foot. I need to go get this ball," instead of just letting it bounce. But he tried
also
to do a little too much with it.
Yeah. It's my understanding, and only from some of the people that I was in the at the Super Bowl party with, that if it went through the back of the end zone, it would have actually been a safety. Is that not true?
Maybe it would have, because it's technically a fumble, and if you fumble it out of the back of your own end zone, then it is a safety.
So it would have been a safety.
So maybe it would have been, but they were far enough away from the end zone.
Okay.
It wasn't really a factor.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else in terms of the strategy of the game, or should we get to some of the numbers?
Has a kicker ever won an MVP for a Super Bowl?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I can do a quick Google search.
Okay, while you're Google searching,
yeah,
what happened with Travis Kelce and freaking Andy Reid? Like, there's this whole like explosion that went down, and it was all over TikTok, and I don't know what was happening, but it was really funny.
It was, yeah. So basically, in the first half,
not a strategy question. I want to be clear.
There was a play where Kelce wanted to be on the field, and he wasn't, and he got super pissed at the coach. And he basically just went over and body slammed him.
That's
he
so
checked
absurd.
him, and you could see Andy Reid wasn't looking, and he like, whoa, look what
dude's got to check his privilege. Honestly.
Apparently, he apologized to him after the game. They made up about it, but yeah, it was that was a weird moment.
That was a weird moment.
And the announcers kind of just like glossed over it. They were like, it doesn't, like, it's fine. We'll forget about this.
Yeah, it's because everyone's a freaking shill for the NFL. They're all freaking placements. It's a puppet scheme.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Go back to your gossip circle.
Yeah. So actually, wait, did you find the answer to that, by the way?
Yeah, the answer is no. A kicker has never won the MVP.
Okay.
But there are lots of kickers who have won Super Bowls. So.
Okay. There you go. But they obviously aren't really.
Not enough to win the MVP, but.
Yeah. Some dude blew out his knee running onto the field.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, what happened there?
He was just running onto the field and
that's
popped
like,
his Achilles.
It's so sad because that's a meme now, and like that dude is a professional athlete.
I know. Also, the second it happens, he knows that he's done for the game, and he like doesn't get to play in the Super Bowl anymore, which is such a sad feeling.
Yeah.
Non-contact injuries are the worst. You just feel for the guys.
Yep.
All right, so just to get into the quick numbers of the Super Bowl, the official numbers actually come out later tonight. We're filming this on Monday. The official numbers come out later tonight, so maybe we can follow up with an Instagram story. The projected audience was 126.6 million for the game. If you'll recall, last year's Super Bowl, which set the record, was 115 million. So, like we said, setting records every week.
It's only going up from here, boys.
Only going up. Yeah, kind of nuts how many people watch this. I do think next year's number will be lower. There was just a perfect storm of things this year. I think the Taylor Swift effect also was fully
for sure
at play there. They showed her in the booth, I think, 9 or 10 times from whistle to whistle. So, yeah, I do think this number will go down, but unbelievably record-setting year. Do you want to guess how much money the American Gaming Association estimated would be bet on the Super Bowl? This is for regulated and non-regulated sports betting.
What was the governing body that made this prediction?
The American Gaming Association. Does that impact your guess?
It does influence my guess. American Gaming Association. So we did have a podcast a couple weeks ago about betting. I don't remember anything from it. So I am going to say, I know it's in the billions. So I'm going to say, I hope so. I'm going to say $10 billion.
Okay, not a terrible guess. It's $23.1 billion.
Okay.
That's the estimate. We'll get you exact figures when it comes out later this week.
And do you know if this was more than last year's Super Bowl?
I think it was 35% more than last year's Super Bowl. Yeah.
That's crazy.
People are dishing out money for
People are dishing out money, and please find help if you're dishing out too much and dipping into your checkings account.
Yeah. A couple other numbers that I thought were interesting. First of all, Reba McEntire's national anthem, a lot of controversy. Her over-under was 90 seconds, 90 and a half.
Yep.
And there was a controversy over whether her repeating "And the Brave" counted as part of the song.
It's got to.
I think there are some sports books that actually paid out on either side of the bet, which is kind of crazy, or they just gave money back. But I think the official ruling is that it did not count as part of the 90.5 seconds.
Really?
So lots of sports books deciding different things, which doesn't make sense to me. They should all just be one uniform answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, when that happened, we were all like, oh, that's an extra 9 seconds.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the over-under?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I had the streakers. Again, we talked about that already. Really interesting part about this Super Bowl So the fact that it was in Vegas was a huge draw for the NFL, and usually it's a big draw for the city as well. The cities they basically have to bid to get the game in their city, and apparently the casinos were not happy that the game ended up being there. The reason is that normally casinos want the big like whales, and you told us what that meant a few episodes ago when we talked about betting. The whales are people who bet millions of dollars in these casinos.
Yep.
Those whales were instead out clubbing or at bars or actually at the game and not placing their money in the casino. And there were other people who flew in for the game who don't have as much money as these people, and they're the ones flooding the casino, betting a lot less money.
Oh, interesting.
And the casinos don't care if these people are spending on concerts or local events or at you know convenience stores. Like, they don't care about that.
These rich elites, they're still gonna bet the day before at the casinos, no? Or
yeah, but maybe not as much. Like, it's not where they're gonna spend all of their time. And sure, there are plenty of celebrities and athletes who come in, but there are celebrities in Vegas all the time. If you're pulling away the big bettors from these casinos,
that's
they're pretty upset. And the host committees, which are the committees that try to raise money for your city to bid on getting the Super Bowl, they had to rely a lot on the casinos this year to raise enough money because there isn't such a big like corporate sector in Vegas. A lot of the money comes from the casinos, and people are speculating that if they want to bid again in 2028, which is the next open slot for the Super Bowl host, they might not get the support of the casinos, in which case they wouldn't be able to raise the money to bid for it. So an interesting wrinkle in this year's Super Bowl host.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Another quick thing that was pretty crazy. I sent you a TikTok. This Nickelodeon Super Bowl podcast. Have you like heard all these things about it?
Well, I kind of wish that at least for the first half, when the game was super boring, we had watched the Nickelodeon stream.
I didn't know about it until after.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, I didn't know at all. But what's crazy, so first of all, you talked about the numbers of people watching, which is already up from last year. Nickelodeon Super Bowl podcast? No, Super Bowl broadcast.
Oh, broadcast. Okay.
Oh,
I do know about the broadcast. I did not know about the podcast.
They also had a podcast afterwards. No, but it's an alternative Super Bowl program, and it's intended to use like virtual reality to just like put random Nickelodeon characters on the screen, and it's in order to sort of stoke a younger audience for the interest in the sport.
Right.
And it was compelling. It was great. It got a lot of kids involved, but like they don't need more numbers. And also you have these like butting heads in like the public of like people who are like so pro football, and then everyone who's like, my kid's not playing football for a goddamn minute. And it's just crazy that like Nickelodeon's getting involved by like stoking the fire to like teach 5-year-olds what like a false start is.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know how controversial it really is that they do it, because they tame it a lot. Like, for example, they had the streaker on the national broadcast. They didn't show the streaker at all. Apparently, for the Nick broadcast, they just superimposed Larry the Lobster on the streaker.
That's funny.
And that was who was running around.
But like, what about the big hits? That like one hit of the punt returner who catches it and then just gets like slammed to the ground. So, like, what are they superimposing? Freaking Patrick from?
Yeah, that's literally what they're doing. They're superimposing. Like, they probably like when there's a big hit, there's like a huge explosion of slime. Like, I don't know what they're actually doing because I didn't watch the broadcast, but it's very, very fun and interactive. I think they're trying to take like the violent element out of it, and what they're doing is they're just building football fans at a young age so that when they're old enough to appreciate the actual game without, you know, the fun SpongeBob aspect of it, they just tune into the regular broadcast.
That's true, but they're also, you know, I'm sure there are some kids out there who are like, Daddy, I want to play football.
Yeah.
And then their dad's like, no. And then it's just a freaking argument. Like, how many arguments do you think came about from kids watching this and being like, I want to play football. This looks fun because there's slime popping out of people's bellies.
Yeah. Probably a lot.
It's
a fair concern. I don't know.
Also, Dora was savage. She
apparently Dora was just ripping on people.
She goes like, who needs a map to help find the end zone? It was like pretty savage, honestly.
Wow.
But yeah, it was cool. If you haven't seen it, go look it up on TikTok. A lot of funny shit from it. Yeah. But I will say, I tend to think that it's not great for the public. But
yeah, football in general.
Yeah,
dangerous sport.
That's why this is the last football podcast you'll hear from us in a while.
Sad. Rip football. Yeah. So should we get into the commercials?
Let's get into the commercials.
All right. I thought the first half of the commercials stunk. Much like the game. The first half left a lot to be desired. There honestly was nothing memorable about the first half. My big takeaways from I thought that it picked up in the second half for sure. There were some notable ones we'll get to in a second. My biggest takeaway, Jesus is having a moment.
Yes.
Jesus was like everywhere. I
Yeah.
think there were 2 or 3 Jesus commercials, and they're so intense.
Yeah.
And one of them was a foot commercial, I think.
I don't remember, but
It was kind of, maybe that was for Jesus. I don't know. I was a little confused. But like Jesus having a big moment. Temu
yes.
Temu had 3 or 4 commercials.
Dude, what the fuck is that?
Do you shop on? Clearly, you don't shop on Temu. I don't either.
Yeah, but like people were talking about it. It's like the new like Amazon, TikTok, whatever, like mobile shopping.
They had 3 or 4 commercials. That's
if you didn't know what Temu was before, you definitely know what it is now.
Good for them. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I was shocked by this number.
How many people in your party knew what Temu was?
So I think 2 or 3.
Okay.
One person at our party, Ezra Wiener, said that last year Temu did $16 billion in revenue in the U.S. And I was like, who are they?
Yeah.
What do they even do? So
Yeah.
I was confused. But if you make $16 billion in revenue in a year,
Yeah, but
maybe have
honestly,
enough to
that
spend
shit's
on-
nefarious. Like Alibaba, you know they're raking in cash. Like
It's
who
so
knows where they're
true.
getting their money from?
I know their margins probably stink. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was
it's just, like,
fascinated.
sweatshops in China
Jesus-
selling Bulls jerseys. Anyway,
Anyway, yeah,
Neither
but
here nor
Jesus
there.
and Temu had big
Yes.
moments. Second half commercials, I thought Beyonce trying to break Verizon. I thought that was fun.
that was very fun.
I didn't know who the other guy in the commercial was though, and I felt kind of culturally.
I don't remember either.
All right, that makes
yeah.
me feel better.
Yeah. No, if you ever want to like feel better about pop culture, come talk to
come
me.
to you, okay, all right, I'll do that. The couch potatoes commercial.
So funny.
For Pluto TV.
It's so funny over and over. It happened like twice, right? I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
I
only
thought
saw
I cracked
one.
up both times, and like David Berger was like, Ethan found that funny.
I thought it was hilarious.
It was.
They raise couch potatoes.
Yeah,
it's brilliant
it's
for
very
a
funny.
TV streaming service. I thought that was very funny. The Pfizer commercial where they had "Don't Stop Me Now,"
Yes.
and all the scientists in the picture singing along.
Very cool.
I thought that was hilarious.
That was cool.
Another favorite of mine. This one was the commercial itself was like fine, the Bud Light one, but I thought the way because they obviously have to pay for this, but they basically had this whole commercial and they had a bunch of celebrities, and then Bud Light rented out a suite at the stadium, and right after the commercial, they came back to the game feed and they showed the suite, and all the people from the commercial were in the suite.
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
like, that's so cool. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much they had to pay to get the network to just show them on screen right after the commercial, but
Yeah,
that was a pretty cool move.
that was cool.
Very, very funny comment at our party from Adina, whose prop bet was how many outlandish things would
Nice.
she say. When the Snapchat commercial came on, she said it felt like we were all suddenly on acid, and it was very accurate. That
That's very
commercial came
funny.
on, and we were bugging out.
That's funny.
Yeah.
There was the funny Doritos commercial. I thought that was good.
What was the Doritos one?
This dude, like, he's shopping and he gets these new Doritos Dinamita, and like these two like older
Two
women,
grandmas, yeah.
like chase him down for it, and
Yeah.
they're like chasing him down, like ram into his car. It's very funny.
Yeah. So I missed probably like the first 7 seconds of that commercial, and when I spaced back in, I was totally lost. So that
Yeah.
commercial ended, and I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
not following.
The BMW commercial with Christopher Walken, where like everyone's imitating him. Do you remember this?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
funny. I thought that Squarespace had a sort of funny commercial with the UFOs. Do you remember like everyone's looking down at their phone and there's UFOs above?
And the aliens needed to like buy a website to,
Yes,
to
exactly.
say hello to everyone. Yeah. I missed that. I'm pretty dumb. I was sitting
That's
there
okay.
and I'm like, so what was the connection to Squarespace? And
Well,
everyone's like, obviously they use Squarespace to make a website. I'm like,
Well, actually, I didn't
okay, I'm
know that
stupid.
until you just actually told me.
Oh, all right, fine.
And I sort of said yes, and then I was going to watch it after the pod and like see if you're right.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think it was so intuitive.
No, I didn't think so either. I love Wicked. There was a great Wicked commercial. I mean, it was a
Yes.
commercial for a Wicked
For the
movie,
movie.
which is crazy.
It does look awesome.
It looks awesome.
Yeah. People were, I don't know, people just complain on Twitter to complain.
Yeah.
But people were complaining that Ariana Grande was cast as Dorothy, and I don't get that.
Dorothy or Galinda? Do you know?
Isn't Galinda the witch?
No, that's Elphaba.
Let's move on.
Okay. Halftime show. Should we dip into the halftime
Yes,
show?
but I had one more
Okay.
note. Last commercial that I took notes on, the commercial for the Google Pixel. Okay, I don't mean this in an offensive way, because the guy in the commercial clearly had some vision impairment,
Yes.
and it was like kind of switching back and forth between what he can see on the Google Pixel, like just taking a picture and it will like clarify the picture for you. I was a little confused, but all I could think of the whole commercial was like, this is how I pictured you watching the Super Bowl from the 300 section when you said that you didn't have your glasses.
Dude.
And I was like, Ethan must be really
Dude,
having
now
a tough
you can
time.
finally connect.
Except that like this got a vision impairment and your prescription is negative 0.25.
I actually missed that commercial, but I hope it doesn't sound facetious to say that I connect with him when I was watching. I'm sure he had a real disability, and meanwhile I have a negative 0.25 subscription,
right?
But prescription.
You're good.
But alas, yes, that's definitely how I felt. So I'm glad that you thought of me.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the halftime show.
Let's get to the halftime show.
I want to get your thoughts on it. Did you happen to see the revenue number that they said Usher made? In quotes from the show?
No.
So you mentioned last show that the artist for the Super Bowl doesn't get paid.
Yes.
Which I thought was interesting, but makes sense. Apparently, according to Apex Marketing Group,
suspicious.
In terms of money in exposure that Usher got, it was $52.5 million.
Wow.
So, I mean, granted, they say that that's based on his reach across platforms between 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. Incredibly suspicious.
Yeah. But it's also like forecasting for the future, I guess. Like, was that like only yesterday, or was that like, okay, we expect Usher, songs to be up by 30 million plays the next month?
I don't know. They must be extrapolating out based on the amount of. Well, they say that it's the reach, based on the reach across platforms and how that translates into listening and purchasing behavior. Maybe that's how they find the number.
Interesting.
But $52.5 million is insane.
It's insane.
It also coincides with his latest album release, and he also announced today that he's going on tour. So
great.
Obviously,
he's looking
all
up.
lines up for
Honestly,
Usher.
He was in a bit of a lull for like 10 years, and he's looking up.
He's back.
He's back.
What'd you think? What'd you think of the halftime show?
I thought it was pretty good. A few pros. One, I'm a big rollerblader, so I thought he played that very well.
I thought that was awesome.
It was awesome.
So cool.
It's not like that easy to do all these spins and also like go through someone's knees and hop up that quickly.
Yep.
So mad respect. Also, his the cast of other rollerbladers in the arena were sick. Like there were people just like doing flips and shit. It was amazing. I thought that him taking off his shirt was a little bit of a flex that was unneeded. Yep. I will say, but everyone knew it was happening.
I'm with you on that. When he took off his shirt, I was like, did we? Like, why?
Yeah, like,
this wasn't weird. It didn't need to be weird. Now it is.
Nah, it's a little weird. And like he's not that good looking. So like, also he like wore this like dodgeball outfit. Have you seen these memes? Like he was in like the same like pads as they were in dodgeball. Yeah, which like had like pads on his six pack. It was a little bit odd. I didn't love that costume.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Okay.
I know I'm not really answering the question on whether I liked it or not.
No, but you liked it.
I liked it. I also
you had some critiques, but you liked it.
I liked it. I thought the piano was amazing. Like
awesome.
It was so cool. And also her like dress, which we thought was her dress, and then it like sort of like came off
Alicia
of her.
Keys.
Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
She was great. They were great together. It was a good time.
I was a little uncomfortable when they were like.
Yeah, a little
just,
sensual.
Like, a
little too close.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was about.
Yeah.
I was like, this might not be necessary. I thought it was cool, and then it got a little weird with that part. But I loved the halftime show.
Wow. Out of 10.
Out of 10, I'd give it like, okay, maybe I didn't love it. I thought it was great. I give it like a 7, only because like the audio quality was like, like you couldn't really hear a lot of the singing.
Yeah, that's true.
But I thought the choreography was awesome. Usher's a great dancer.
He
has a bunch of bangers. He brought out really cool guests.
Yeah.
Lil Jon just crowd surfing.
Yeah, that was
into
crazy.
The mic. Awesome.
Yeah, that dude's got a good job.
I didn't know her could shred like that.
Yeah.
She was the one
who came
was
out. So that was all lip syncing and lip and air playing.
Is that confirmed?
Not confirmed, I guess, but I looked into it and it does seem like it's like a lot of people are fairly aligned with they weren't actually playing.
So most of the singing I thought was done live. You could kind of tell it was done live, but I wasn't sure about the guitar because it sounded too clean.
It was sick. Yeah.
And it was like really, really good. I mean, it's probably her recording.
Yeah,
in which case she can still shred. But I thought that was cool. I thought the halftime show was really good, and then I went on Twitter and everyone was like, this sucks, like this is what's wrong with it, bring back blah blah blah, and I was like, I don't like, am I just super out of touch, or are people just angry on social media?
This is what I honestly think, that it was like just a low budget halftime show. Like generally, he was dancing on the field. Like, I don't know if you noticed that. He was also on a stage at one point, but like a lot of it was on a field. I don't know if you remember, like years ago, we had like The Who. They like transformed the entire stadium.
Yeah.
Last year,
Rihanna was
floating like on all these like different things and elevated surfaces. Yeah. So I do think that people might have disliked it just because it wasn't like the high production that they were looking for.
I thought it was like they had 100+ dancers on stage for different segments.
They had dudes like moshing, but that was pretty much
no, not even those people. Like those people are just, they pay to be at the concert and hold up Lil Jon. But like,
I mean, I don't know. I think it was a lower budget than last year. I would have to imagine. Like, they didn't have that many cast members.
Okay, but here's the thing. The Super Bowl covers the costs of the production. So, like, if you're the artist, why not just go all out?
That's a good question. I think he wanted to be a little bit less, like a little bit more minimal.
Right.
And I think you think it played in his favor, and I sort of do too, because we really got to like have a real window into him and not be distracted by all these like bells and whistles around him. But I also think that some people are like where is, the flying Usher, like all of this stuff. So
yeah. I was just impressed with his dancing.
Great. Yeah.
I thought the rollerblades were awesome.
So cool.
So cool. Yeah. I mean, Alicia Keys is great. Ludacris coming out is
so
always
fun.
a win.
So fun.
Crazy afro. I didn't realize he was growing out an afro.
Crazy afro.
Unreal.
How old do you think Usher is?
Oh, boy. I mean, he was big 10 years ago, probably in his he's probably like 45.
He's 45 years old.
No way.
Yeah, he's 45 years old.
Wow.
That's a good call.
I feel like we should end the episode now.
Yeah, that was great.
That's a complete
You got to go gamble now. You got to put some bets
people.
down.
You got to believe me. I did not look that up.
Okay, another interesting fun fact. How much did you think Taylor Swift made the Super Bowl, like the NFL? I have no idea how this is calculated.
Okay.
The front office sports of the NFL reported the pop star generated more than X amount for the NFL and the Chiefs. So I don't think this is for the Super Bowl. I think this is for this year.
I don't know. The NFL makes billions of dollars. I'm going to say, oh, God. I'm going to say $300 million.
Wow, dude, you are on.
What is it?
$330 million. You're on one today.
Wow.
That's sick.
Give me some more trivia.
I don't have any more.
Oh, come on.
Shit. Okay, what are my 5 open tabs?
Oh, boy. I don't know. Wow.
Okay.
That's a lot of money. If that's like an accurate stat, that's a
lot of money.
Ton of money.
I know. And it's going straight to endorse Joe Biden for the 2024 election.
Oh, yeah. That conspiracy fell apart quickly.
Another funny conspiracy, which I only found out recently. It's not a conspiracy. It's just a funny bit. The Travis Kelce fade.
Which fade?
Like his haircut.
His haircut?
Yeah. Have you heard about this?
No. What about it?
Oh, my God. So I don't know who. Someone interviewed Travis Kelce and asked him if he invented the fade.
And
he said no, like that's absolutely not true. It was like invented by like Black Americans a long time ago. Okay. But then people, really grasped onto that and like said Travis Kelce invented the fade. What? And all these white dudes are going to their barber asking for the Travis Kelce. The New York Times talked about it. The Travis Kelce hairdo. Anyway, it was very funny. He's got a nice looking fade. That. But yeah, very, very funny tidbit about Travis.
Wow. He also just screamed on stage. I feel like most people who watch the Super Bowl don't watch long enough to get to them accepting the trophy, which is totally fine. If you watch the game, good for you. But he just screamed into the mic for like...
Dude has too much of an ego, honestly. I didn't
even think it was an ego thing. I think he just likes to party, and he happens to be a really good football player. I mean, he probably has an ego. He's amazing at what he does.
He's yelling at his coach.
The biggest celebrity in the world.
Yeah. I just think someone needs to put him in his place. I wouldn't have minded if they lost this game, but...
I was rooting against them.
I was rooting against them as well.
Wow.
That is what it is.
Wow. So you're not a Travis fan?
I mean... I was rooting against them because I'm a Brock Purdy fan after last episode. Yeah. After hearing about him.
Hard not
I was telling everyone in my Rating Super Bowl, I was like, I don't know if you've heard like the girls in the gossip section. I was like telling them a little bit.
Did they like it?
They loved it. They're like, this is sick. Another quick shout out. Sarah said that there was an intentional grounding call she called it, and she's like, and her friend's like, how do you know that? And she's like, the pod.
Yes. That was also a debatable call because there was a receiver in the vicinity.
Yeah.
So the rules expert who came on actually said that it probably wasn't intentional grounding.
Yeah.
But the refs called it anyway.
So yeah, who knows? But I think that just about wraps it up, the Super Bowl pod.
If you guys also want to find interesting tidbits like that one about Brock Purdy that apparently these ladies at the party did not hear.
Yes. Come through.
Call out. You're kind of outing yourself for not having listened to the pod. That's okay. Yeah. It's not too late.
It's not too late.
Not too late. You can listen to us every week. Next week, we're doing basketball, right?
Next week, we're doing Intro to Basketball.
Yes. Submit your questions.
Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Rookie Mistakes _pod. We're coming out with content. We're doing our thing.
Rate, review, subscribe. We appreciate you guys listening.
And
we'll see you next week.
See you next week.